The Chase of O.J. Simpson, Los Angeles, 1994. On the evening of the 17th of June, 1994, the freeways of Los Angeles became a stage for a spectacle that would haunt the American psyche for decades. A white 1993 Ford Bronco, its hazard lights blinking like the pulse of a dying star, crawled along Interstate 405, trailed by a phalanx of black and white police cruisers. Inside the vehicle was Orenthal James Simpson, O.J., the Jusea man whose name once conjured images of football glory, Hollywood charisma, and all-American success. Now, he was a fugitive, a suspect, in a crime so brutal it seemed to tear the fabric of reality itself. His ex-wife, Nicole Brown Simpson, and her friend, Ronald Lyle Goldman, had been found days earlier, their bodies savaged by a blade, sprawled in a crimson pool outside her Brentwood condominium. The nation, all 95 million viewers, was glued to their screens, watching live as helicopters hovered like vultures, capturing every moment of this surreal, slow-motion chase. It was a scene that felt less like life and more like a nightmare, scripted by a deranged playwright, a tragedy unfolding in real time, its shadows creeping into every living room. The air was thick with dread that night. Los Angeles, a city already scarred by racial tensions and the fresh wounds of the 1992 riots, held its breath. On the freeways, onlookers gathered, some waving, others shouting, as if drawn by an inexplicable force to witness history's unraveling. Inside the Bronco, O.J. Simpson, a man who had once outrun defenders on the gridiron, was now running from something far darker: justice, guilt, or perhaps the ghosts of his own past. His friend, Al A.C. Cowlings, gripped the wheel, navigating the vehicle at a ghostly 35 miles per hour, while Simpson, reportedly cradling a revolver to his temple, sat in the back seat. A cellular phone call from Cowlings to the police crackled with desperation. "He's got a gun to his head. Back off." The words sent chills through the airwaves, a plea that turned the chase into something primal, a man on the edge of oblivion, teetering between surrender and self-destruction. 5 days earlier, on the 12th of June, 1994, the idyllic Brentwood neighborhood had been shattered. Nicole Brown Simpson, 35, a radiant mother of two, and Ronald Goldman, 25, a waiter with dreams of his own, were discovered just after midnight, their bodies crumpled in the courtyard of her condominium at 875 South Bundy Drive. The scene was a tableau of horror. Nicole's throat was slashed so deeply her head was nearly severed, her white dress stained a grotesque red. Goldman, caught in the wrong place at the wrong time, bore the marks of a frantic struggle, stab wounds crisscrossing his body, his hands raised in a futile defense. A bloody glove, a knit cap, and footprints in the gore painted a grim picture, one that pointed, inexorably, to O.J. Simpson. Bloodstains matching his type were found at the scene, and a matching glove was later discovered at his Rockingham estate, just 2 miles away. The evidence was a noose tightening around the neck of a man who had once seemed untouchable. Simpson, a Heisman Trophy winner and NFL legend, had crafted a life that glittered on the surface. Born in 1947 in San Francisco's Potrero Hill, he rose from poverty to become a cultural icon, starring in films like The Naked Gun and charming audiences as a Hertz spokesman. But beneath the sheen, darkness festered. His marriage to Nicole, which began in 1985, was marred by violence. Police records documented years of abuse, bruises, screams, and 911 calls that echoed through their Brentwood mansion. In 1989, Simpson pleaded no contest to spousal battery, a shadow that clung to him even after their 1992 divorce. Nicole's diaries, later revealed, were a chilling litany of fear. Her words, a ghostly warning of the fate that awaited her. "He's going to kill me," she had confided to friends, her voice trembling with the weight of inevitability. By the 17th of June, the Los Angeles Police Department had built a case strong enough to charge Simpson with 2 counts of first-degree murder. A warrant was issued, and he was ordered to surrender by 11 a.m. at Parker Center. But Simpson, staying at the home of his friend and lawyer Robert Kardashian, had other plans. As the deadline passed, police arrived to find him gone, slipped out the back door like a phantom. A manhunt ensued, and soon, the white Bronco was spotted in Orange County. What followed was not a high-octane pursuit, but a slow, hypnotic procession, a funeral march for the myth of O.J. Simpson. News networks interrupted the NBA Finals, and the world watched as the Bronco wound through the arteries of Los Angeles, from the 91 freeway to the 405, finally pulling into Simpson's Rockingham estate just before 8 p.m. For nearly an hour, he remained inside, a standoff that felt like the city holding its breath. Supporters gathered outside, chanting, "Free OJ," their voices a strange counterpoint to the SWAT team assembling in the shadows. At 8:50 p.m., Simpson emerged, disheveled, clutching a glass of orange juice, and surrendered. In the Bronco, police found a travel bag containing his passport, a disguise kit with a fake mustache and beard, and $8,750 in cash, a chilling hint of a man prepared to vanish. The chase was more than a media frenzy. It was a fracture in the American soul. It exposed fault lines of race, class, and justice that had simmered beneath the surface for decades. To some, Simpson was a black man framed by a racist LAPD, still reeling from the Rodney King beating and the acquittal of the officers involved. To others, he was a monster hiding behind wealth and fame, his charm a mask for a capacity for violence. The televised pursuit, watched by an estimated 95 million people, was a collective descent into a moral abyss, where truth seemed to dissolve in the glare of the cameras. It was dubbed the most famous ride on American shores since Paul Revere's. But unlike that midnight run, this one carried no promise of revolution, only the specter of a trial that would divide a nation. As Simpson was booked into Men's Central Jail, charged with murders that carried the possibility of the death penalty, the stage was set for what would become the trial of the century. The chase had been a prelude, a slow burn that ignited a firestorm of speculation, outrage, and fascination. Who was OJ? Simpson now? The hero who electrified crowds at USC? The actor who made audiences laugh? Or the man whose hands, prosecutors would later argue, were stained with the blood of two innocent lives? The answers, like the man himself, seemed to slip through the fingers of justice, leaving only questions that lingered like a fog over Los Angeles. The nation had watched a man run, not just from the law, but from the weight of his own legacy. And in that slow, deliberate flight, something sinister took root, a story that would unravel in courtrooms, on airwaves, and in the hearts of millions. A story that would make you question not just O.J. Simpson, but the very nature of truth itself. Picture Los Angeles on the 17th of June, 1994. Bathed in the golden haze of a California sunset, its freeways pulsing like veins through a city that never sleeps. The air hums with anticipation, not for the NBA Finals flickering on television screens, but for something far more intoxicating, a real-life drama unfolding on Interstate 405, where a white Ford Bronco glides at a maddeningly slow 35 miles per hour, a siren song drawing the eyes of a nation. Behind the wheel is Al A.C. Cowlings, his knuckles white, his face a mask of grim determination. In the back seat, O.J. Simpson, the man who once danced through defenses at USC and charmed audiences in Hollywood, clutches a revolver, his eyes hollow, his fate teetering on the edge of a razor. This is no ordinary chase. This is a seduction, a slow, deliberate waltz that grips 95 million souls, pulling them into a spectacle that feels like a fever dream. It's thrilling, it's scandalous, and it's utterly, irresistibly alive. The streets of LA are a carnival of chaos. On overpasses along the 405, crowds gather like moths to a flame, their cheers and jeers rising into the twilight. "Go, OJ, go!" Some shout, waving handmade signs as if cheering a homecoming king. Others stand silent, their faces pale, sensing the darkness beneath the circus. Helicopters thrum overhead, their cameras beaming every second to newsrooms from Burbank to Boston. In living rooms across America, families huddle around glowing screens, popcorn forgotten, as anchors like Tom Brokaw and Peter Jennings narrate the surreal parade. O.J. Simpson, wanted for murder, is leading police on a low-speed chase. They intone, their voices trembling with the weight of history. The absurdity is electric. A man accused of slaughtering his ex-wife, Nicole Brown Simpson, and her friend, Ronald Goldman, is not racing to freedom but crawling, as if daring the world to look away. Inside the Bronco, the tension is a living thing, coiling tighter with every mile. AC Cowlings, OJ's teammate from their glory days at Galileo High School, is more than a driver, he's a lifeline, a brother in arms navigating a nightmare. The police radio crackles with his voice, raw and urgent. "This is AC. I've got OJ in the car. He's got a gun to his head. Please, back off." The words are a jolt, a spark that ignites the airwaves. Detectives and the trailing cruisers veterans of LA's mean streets exchange glances, their hands hovering over holsters. They've chased gangbangers and bank robbers, but this is O.J. Simpson, the man who hurdled airport counters in Hertz commercials, now a fugitive with a death wish. The 405, usually a snarl of rush hour traffic, parts like the Red Sea, drivers pulling over to gape as the Bronco drifts past, its tires humming a hypnotic dirge. Flashback 5 days to Brentwood, where the night of the 12th of June shattered the illusion of O.J.'s charmed life. At 875 South Bundy Drive Ave, Nicole Brown Simpson, 35, lay lifeless in her courtyard, her blonde hair matted with blood, her throat cut so savagely she was nearly decapitated. Beside her, Ronald Goldman, 25, a waiter at Mezzaluna restaurant, was a tableau of desperation stab wounds, riddling his chest, his hands slashed from a futile fight. The scene was a slaughterhouse, blood pooling on the tiles, a single bloody glove, and a knit cap left like taunting clues. 2 miles away, at Simpson's Rockingham estate, police found a matching glove, its leather stiff with dried blood. Blood drops trailed from OJ's Ford Bronco to his front door, a crimson breadcrumb trail that screamed guilt. Nicole's Akita, Kato, had howled into the night, alerting neighbors to the carnage. The dog's mournful cries still echo in the minds of those who saw the crime scene photos, a chilling soundtrack to a double murder that would redefine justice. Back on the 405, the chase is a paradoxa, high-stakes drama moving at a snail's pace. OJ, now 46, is no longer the fleet-footed running back who won the Heisman in 1968. He's a man unraveling, his charisma replaced by a haunted desperation. In the Bronco, he's penned a letter, scrawled in a frenzy before the chase began. "Don't feel sorry for me," it reads. "I've had a great life." He claims innocence, calls Nicole his best friend, and begs the world to remember him as the Juice. But the gun in his hand tells another story, one of a man staring into the abyss. AC relays OJ's demands to negotiators via cell phone. He wants to see his mother, Eunice, one last time. The request is a gut punch, a reminder that even monsters have mothers, even legends can fall. The police, led by LAPD Commander David Gascon, keep their distance, fearing a suicide that would rob the victims of justice. The chase stretches on, from Orange County's 91 freeway to the 710, then back to the 405, a 60-mile odyssey that feels like a lifetime. The drama peaks as the Bronco nears Simpson's estate at 360 North Rockingham Avenue. The sun has set, and Brentwood's manicured lawns are bathed in the eerie glow of streetlights. Crowds line the streets, some holding candles, others chanting "Free OJ," their voices a strange hymn to a fallen idol. News helicopters circle like carrion birds, their spotlights slicing through the dusk. Inside the Bronco, OJ is a ghost of himself, his face slick with sweat, his eyes darting to the gun, then to the world beyond the tinted windows. AC pulls into the driveway, but OJ refuses to surrender. For 45 agonizing minutes, the standoff holds. SWAT teams creeping closer, their rifles glinting in the shadows. Negotiators plead over the phone, their voices steady but laced with fear. "OJ, think of your kids," they urge, invoking Sydney and Justin, his children with Nicole. The mention of their names is a crack in the armor, a reminder of the life he's shredding with every second he delays. The climax is a heartbeat away. Will OJ pull the trigger, ending his saga in a spray of blood? Will he bolt? Forcing a shootout in the heart of Brentwood, the nation leans forward, breathless, as if the fate of the world hangs on this one man's choice. Then, a shift. OJ's shoulders slump, the gun lowers, and he steps out of the Bronco, a glass of orange juice trembling in his hand, a bizarre, almost mocking nod to his nickname. At 8:50 p.m., he stumbles into the arms of LAPD officers. His surrender, a quiet detonation that ripples across the globe. The crowd erupts, some cheering, others weeping, as OJ is cuffed and led away. In the Bronco, police find a chilling haul: a passport, $8,750 in cash, and a disguise kit with a fake mustache and beard. It's a glimpse into a plan to vanish, to slip into the night like a specter. But OJ didn't run out, really. He danced, and America danced with him, captivated by a chase that was less about escape and more about a man wrestling with his own demons under the world's gaze. The resolution is a strange catharsis, but the thrill lingers, as OJ is booked into Men's Central Jail, charged with 2 counts of first-degree murder. The nation exhales, but the questions burn brighter than ever. Was this a cry for help, or a calculated performance? A bid for sympathy, or a final act of defiance? The chase, watched by 95 million, wasn't just a news event. It was a seduction, a dark romance between a fallen star and a country hungry for scandal. It laid bare LA's soulless glamour, its grit, its racial divide still raw from the Rodney King riots. To some, OJ was a black man hunted by a racist LAPD. To others, a killer cloaked in fame. The truth, like the man, was slippery, and the chase was only the opening act. As the cameras panned away from Rockingham, the stage was set for a trial that would grip the world. A drama where every twist would feel like a lover's betrayal, every revelation a whispered secret. Buckle up, America. The juice was loose, and the show was just beginning. Los Angeles, 1995. The city is a powder keg, its streets simmering under the weight of history and the ghosts of unrest. In the heart of downtown, at the Los Angeles County Criminal Courts building, a drama unfolds that makes the white Bronco chase of the 17th of June, 1994, seem like a mere prelude. Orenthal James Simpson, OJ the Juicehead, at the defendant's table, his tailored suit's a stark contrast to the orange jumpsuit he wore in Men's Central Jail. He's accused of butchering his ex-wife, Nicole Brown Simpson, and her friend, Ronald Lyle Goldman, in a crime so savage it still sends shivers down the spine. The trial of the century is a circus, a seduction, a high-wire act that holds 150 million Americans in its thrall. Every day, the courtroom at 210 West Temple Street is a stage, and the players, lawyers, witnesses, a steely-eyed judgments, a dangerous tango, their every move beamed to a nation that can't look away. This is no mere trial. It's a war for the soul of justice, and its climax will leave scars that never heal. The stage is set in January 1995, 7 months after OJ's surreal flight down Interstate 405. The prosecution, led by Marcia Clark, a tenacious deputy DA with a razor-sharp mind, paints a damning picture. On the 12th of June, 1994, at 875 South Bundy Drive, Ive in Brentwood, Nicole, 35, and Ron, 25, were slashed to death in a frenzy of violence. Nicole's throat was cut to the bone, her white dress a canvas of blood. Ron's body bore 20 stab wounds, his hands torn from fighting a phantom killer. Blood evidence screams OJ's name, his rare blood type, AB, found at the scene. Nicole's blood on socks in his Rockingham bedroom. Ron's blood in OJ's Ford Bronco. A bloody glove at the crime scene matches one found at OJ's estate, 2 miles away. Footprints in the gore match size, 12 Bruno Magli shoes, a brand OJ owned. Clark's voice is a blade as she tells the jury, "This is a case about a man who couldn't let go, a man who killed out of obsession." Her co-counsel, Christopher Darden, a rising star, adds a haunting detail. Nicole's 911 calls from 1993, her voice trembling as OJ raged in the background. The tapes are a ghost in the courtroom, Nicole's fear, a living witness. But the defense, dubbed the Dream Team, is a juggernaut, led by Johnny Cochran, a charismatic showman with a preacher's cadence, and Robert Shapiro, a dealmaker with Hollywood polish. They weave a spell of doubt. F. Lee Bailey, Barry Sheck, and Robert Kardashianis. That Kardashian round out a legal armada that costs OJ $50,000 a day. Their strategy? Turn the trial into a referendum on the LAPD, still vilified after the 1992 Rodney King riots. Cochran's mantra, "If it doesn't fit, you must acquit," becomes a national catchphrase, aimed at a bloody glove that O.J. famously struggles to wear in court. That glove didn't shrink, Cochran thunders, suggesting it was planted by rogue cops. The defense's star witness, Detective Mark Furman, implodes when tapes reveal him using racial slurs and boasting of framing suspects. Furman, who found the Rockingham glove, becomes the trial's villain, his perjury a gift to the defense. The LAPD framed a black man. Cochran whispers to the predominantly black jury, his words a siren song tapping into decades of distrust. The courtroom is a pressure cooker, every moment dripping with intrigue. Judge Lance Ito, a meticulous Japanese-American jurist, presides over a cast of characters who seem ripped from a soap opera. Marcia Clark, her curly hair and power suits, a lightning rod for sexist scrutiny, spars with Cochran, whose silk ties and poetic flourishes make him a folk hero. Darden, torn between duty and the black community's skepticism, weeps when O.J. tries on the glove a moment that feels like theater but cuts like a knife. Witnesses add fuel to the fire. Cato Kalin, O.J.'s shaggy-haired houseguest, fumbles through testimony about hearing thumps the night of the murders. Alan Park, O.J.'s limo driver, recalls a shadowy figure entering the Rockingham estate at 10:55 p.m., minutes after the killings. The DNA evidence, a scientific marvel in 1995, is a battleground. Scheck dismantles its reliability, claiming contamination, while Clark counters with statistical certainty. The odds of the blood not being O.J.'s are 1 in 170 million. The trial is a cultural earthquake, its fault lines exposing America's divides. In South Central LA, O.J. is a symbol of resistance, a black man standing up to a system seen as corrupt. In Brentwood's gated enclaves, he's a monster who bought his way out of justice. Television ratings soar. CBS, NBC, and ABC air 2,000 hours of coverage, spawning a 24/7 news cycle. The Dancing Ethos, a troupe of judge lookalikes, perform on The Tonight Show, while tabloids scream about O.J.'s alleged affairs and Nicole's secret life. The jury, sequestered for 265 days in the Hotel Intercontinental, is a microcosm of the nation. 9 black, 2 white, 1 Hispanic, their faces etched with exhaustion. They're bombarded with 126 witnesses, 1,105 pieces of evidence, and a media frenzy that seeps into their dreams. Juror number 6, a black woman, later admits, "We felt the weight of the world." The tension builds like a storm as closing arguments arrive in September 1995. Clark, her voice hoarse, pleads, "He killed them because he couldn't have her. Don't let him walk." Cochran, in a pinstripe suit, delivers a sermon comparing Furman to Hitler and urging the jury to send a message to a racist system. The jury deliberates for just 4 hours to blink after 9 months of testimony. On the 3rd of October, 1995, at 10 a.m., the nation freezes. Offices empty, schools pause, trading halts on the New York Stock Exchange. In the courtroom, O.J. stands, his jaw tight, as clerk Deirdre Robertson reads the verdict. The words, "not guilty," hit like a thunderclap. O.J. exhales, a faint smile flickering, while Marcia Clark's face crumples, her eyes glistening with unshed tears. Ron Goldman's sister, Kim, sobs in the gallery, her anguish a raw wound. Outside, cheers erupt in South Central, while Brentwood's coffee shops fall silent, patrons staring into their lattes as if the world has tilted off its axis. The climax is a detonation, splitting America in two. In Los Angeles, horns blare on Crenshaw Boulevard, where revelers wave signs reading, "Free at Last." In Beverly Hills, rage simmers Nicole's sister, Denise Brown, calls the verdict a travesty. Vowing to fight for victims' rights, polls reveal a chasm. 85% of black Americans believe O.J. was framed. 60% of white Americans think he's guilty. The verdict is less about evidence and more about narrative, who controls it, who believes it. O.J. walks free, returning to his Rockingham estate for a champagne party, but the victory is hollow. The public's fascination curdles into suspicion. His endorsements vanish, his friends drift away. The trial's resolution is no fairy tale, it's a mirror held up to a fractured nation. reflecting truths too raw to touch. Yet the drama doesn't end. The verdict ignites a firestorm of debate that burns for decades. Was OJ a scapegoat, targeted by a corrupt LAPD, or a charmer who gamed the system with a $10 million defense? The evidence: blood, gloves, DNA haunts like a ghost, demanding answers no one can agree on. In barbershops and boardrooms, the trial is dissected, its players immortalized. Cochran, who dies a hero in 2005. Clark, who reinvents herself as a novelist. Foreman, who retires in disgrace. For Nicole and Ron's families, the pain is eternal. Fred Goldman, Ron's father, pursues OJ in civil court, winning a $33.5 million judgment in 1997 that OJ barely pays. The trial, watched by 150 million, is a seduction that never releases its grip, a story of glamour, betrayal, and a justice system that bends under the weight of fame and race. As OJ fades into infamy, the nation is left to wrestle with a question that lingers like a lover's whisper. What is truth when everyone sees a different story? Los Angeles, the 3rd of October, 1995. The words, "not guilty," still echo through the Los Angeles County Criminal Courts building, a seismic shockwave that splits the nation like a fault line. Orenthal James Simpson, OJ, the juice walks free. His tailored suit, a stark contrast to the handcuffs that bound him just hours ago. The trial of the century is over, but its shadow lingers, a seductive specter that wraps America in a fever dream of fascination and fury. The white Ford Bronco chase, the bloody gloves, the courtroom theatrics, they're now legends, etched into the psyche of a country that can't stop staring. But as OJ raises a glass of champagne at his Rockingham estate, the real story is just beginning, a saga of loss, vengeance, and unanswered questions that burns like a slow fuse. This is no tidy ending. It's a siren's call, luring you deeper into a mystery that refuses to rest. The verdict is a match struck in a room full of dynamite. In South Central LA, cheers erupt on Crenshaw Boulevard, where crowds wave signs proclaiming "Justice for OJ." To many Black Americans, the acquittal is a rare victory against a racist LAPD, still tainted by the Rodney King beating and the 1,992 riots that left 63 dead. In Brentwood's manicured enclaves, rage festers. Nicole Brown Simpson's sister, Denise, collapses in tears, her voice a raw wound. My sister's killer is free. Ronald Goldman's father, Fred, stands outside the courthouse, his face carved with grief, vowing, "This isn't over." Polls capture the divide. 85% of Black Americans believe OJ was framed. 60% of white Americans see a murderer who bought his freedom with a $10 million defense. The trial, watched by 150 million, isn't just a legal battle, it's a mirror, reflecting a nation fractured by race, class, and trust in justice. And in that mirror, something sinister glints, a truth that slips through the fingers like smoke. OJ's freedom is a gilded cage. He returns to his mansion at 360 North Rockingham Avenue anew. But the world he once ruled has turned its back. Hertz cancels his endorsement deal. His acting roles vanish. Friends like Al A.C. Cowlings, who drove the Bronco, drift into the shadows. The public's adoration sours into suspicion. Their whispers a chorus of doubt. Did he do it? OJ, ever the charmer, tries to reclaim his spotlight. He grants interviews, his smile as polished as ever, insisting, "I'm innocent. I loved Nicole." But the words ring hollow, drowned out by the ghosts of 875 South Bundy Drive Ave, where Nicole, 35, and Ron, 25, were slaughtered on the 12th of June, 1994. The crime scene: Nicole's throat slashed, Ron's body riddled with stab wound shots like a nightmare you can't wake from. Blood evidence, DNA matches, and those Bruno Magli shoe prints scream guilt. Yet the jury's verdict silenced them. Or did it? The families of Nicole and Ron refused to let the story end. Fred Goldman, a soft-spoken real estate agent from Chicago, becomes a lion, his grief fueling a relentless quest. In 1996, he and Denise Brown file a civil lawsuit against OJ in Santa Monica Superior Court, seeking justice the criminal trial denied. The stakes are different, no prison. Just money, but the stage is no less dramatic. The civil trial, far from the media circus of 1995, is a scalpel, cutting through the defense's smoke and mirrors. O.J. testifies, his charisma crumbling under cross-examination. "I didn't do it," he snaps. But the jury, mostly white, unlike the criminal trial's majority, black panel sees through the mask. On the 4th of February, 1997, they find O.J. liable for wrongful death, awarding $33.5 million to the families. Fred's voice trembles as he speaks to reporters. "We finally have justice for Ron and Nicole." But O.J., claiming poverty despite his NFL pension, pays only a fraction, a slap in the face that deepens the wound. The drama escalates as O.J.'s life unravels, each twist a new act in this endless tragedy. In 1997, he publishes If I Did It, a hypothetical account of the murders, so brazen it feels like a confession. The book, seized by the Goldmans in a legal maneuver, is re-released as If I Did It, Confessions of the Killer. The title, a chilling jab. Public outrage flares, but curiosity drives sales. America can't resist peeking into the abyss. O.J. moves to Miami, living in a gated community. But trouble follows like a shadow. In 2007, he leads an armed robbery in a Las Vegas hotel, stealing sports memorabilia he claims is his. The heist is a farce, but the consequences are real. In 2008, a Nevada jury convicts him on 12 counts, sentencing him to 33 years. As O.J. is led away in handcuffs, some cheer, others wince. Was this justice for Nicole and Ron, or a karmic twist for a man who dodged it? Released on parole in 2017, O.J. settles in Las Vegas, a fated star golfing and tweeting, his life a bizarre epilogue to a story that never resolves. The family's fight becomes the heart of the climax, a beacon in the darkness. Denise Brown founds the Nicole Brown Foundation, channeling her pain into advocacy for domestic violence victims. Her speeches, delivered in community centers from Compton to Santa Barbara, are raw, electric. Nicole's voice lives in every woman we save. Fred Goldman, now in his 80s, speaks at law schools, pushing for victims' rights reforms. Their work inspires change. California strengthens stalking laws, and the Violence Against Women Act gains traction. Yet the pain is a constant companion. At Ron's grave in Westlake Village, Fred whispers, "I miss you, son." His tears a silent vow to keep fighting. The family's resilience is a fire that burns bright, but the question of justice remains a wound that festers. Did O.J. kill them? The evidence: blood in the Bronco, DNA on the socks, Nicole's 911 calls screams yes, but doubt, planted by Johnny Cochran's "if it doesn't fit, you must acquit," lingers like a lover's betrayal. The trial's legacy is a kaleidoscope of contradictions, each turn revealing a new facet of America's soul. It birthed the 24/7 news cycle, with CNN and court television turning courtrooms into theaters. It launched careers Robert Kardashian's children, Kourtney, Kim, and Khloe, become reality television royalty. Their fame, a strange echo of the trial's spotlight. Marcia Clark, the steely prosecutor, reinvents herself as a novelist. Her memoirs, a bestseller. Johnny Cochran, dead in 2005, remains a folk hero, his name synonymous with defying the system. Mark Furman, the disgraced detective, fades into obscurity, his racial slurs a stain that never washes out. The case inspires artifacts The People v. O.J. Simpson wins Emmys in 2016, while ESPN's O.J. Made in America dissects the racial divide, both feeding a public still hungry for answers. In barbershops on Slauson Avenue and boardrooms on Rodeo Drive, the debate rages. Was O.J. guilty, framed, or both? The climax comes not in a courtroom, but in the quiet moments that follow, where the family's fight collides with a nation's obsession. In 2024, O.J. dies of cancer at 76 in Las Vegas, his passing a final spark in the saga. Obits flood X, some mourning the football legend, others cursing the man they believe got away with murder. The Goldmans and Browns release a joint statement. No tears for him, only for Nicole and Ron. Their words are a blade, cutting through the noise, a reminder that this story belongs to the victims. Yet the mystery endures, a seductive whisper that pulls you back. Was there another killer, as OJ claimed? Did the LAPD, reeling from its own scandals, botch the case, or worse? The evidence is a puzzle with missing pieces, each theory a thread that unravels into more questions. A bloody glove, a knit cap, a pair of size 12, shoes their relics now, stored in evidence lockers. But their story is alive, pulsing with secrets. The resolution is no bow-tied finale, but a door cracked open, inviting you to step into the unknown. The family's fight has changed laws, saved lives, but the truth about the 12th of June, 1994, remains a phantom, slipping through the grasp of justice. OJ's death closes one chapter, but another waits, hidden in the shadows of Brentwood's quiet streets, in the files of a cold case that still burns hot. What secrets did OJ take to his grave? Who else knows what happened that night? The answers are out there, buried in whispers, in documents, in memories too dangerous to speak. This story isn't over, it's a cliffhanger, a pulse-pounding tease that demands you keep searching. Dive into the next chapter on our channel, where we'll unravel new clues, chase new leads, and ask, what really happened at 875 South Bundy Drive Ive? Subscribe, stay tuned, and let's hunt the truth together, because this mystery is far from solved.